Psychology of people who are extremely nice, but emotionally detached. There's a type of person everyone likes, but nobody actually knows. You know the kind. They remember your birthday. They ask how your mom's surgery went. They never raise their voice. They never complain. They never make a scene. They're the friend who shows up with soup when you're sick. The coworker who mediates every argument. The partner who says, "I'm fine," and actually sounds like they mean it. And yet, after years of friendship, after countless conversations, you couldn't tell anyone what they're actually afraid of. You couldn't name a single time they cried in front of you. You couldn't describe what it feels like when they need help, because honestly, you've never seen it happen. They're not cold. They're not cruel. They're just armored. And the strangest part is, the armor is made of kindness. Let's start with what this actually looks like. Because I think a lot of people confuse this with being introverted or shy. That's not it. These people are often incredibly socially skilled. They'll ask about your day. They'll laugh at your jokes. They'll give you advice that's weirdly insightful. They're easy to be around. But here's the thing. It only goes one direction. They give. They don't receive. You try to ask them how they're doing, and they deflect. "Oh, I'm good, yeah. But hey, how did that thing with your boss go?" You try to dig deeper, and they joke it away. You know me. I'm always fine." And the conversation slides back to you like water off a roof. It's not that they're lying, exactly. It's more like there's a version of them that exists in relationships, and that version is kind, attentive, generous. But the rest of them, the messy part, the scared part, the part that needs things, never shows up. And you don't even notice it's missing until years later when you realize you've been close to someone for a decade and you still don't really know them. Psychologists call this pattern avoidant attachment, and it's one of the most misunderstood ways people navigate relationships. Mario Michelintzer and Philip Shaver, who wrote basically the textbook on adult attachment, describe avoidant individuals as people who've learned to use what they call deactivating strategies. Ways of shutting down emotional closeness before it gets too intense. And here's the kicker. Niceness is one of those strategies. So where does this come from? Because honestly, it doesn't feel like armor when you're the one wearing it. It just feels like who you are. A lot of this goes back to childhood, not necessarily trauma in the capital T sense, but more like emotional unavailability. Maybe your parents were physically there, but emotionally checked out. Maybe showing feelings got you dismissed or mocked. Maybe you learned early on that the safest way to exist in your family was to not need anything. Therapist Pete Walker talks about something called the fawn response, one of the 4 trauma responses, alongside fight, flight, and freeze. Fawning is when you learn that the way to stay safe is to keep everyone else happy. You become hyper-attuned to other people's emotions. You smooth things over. You're the good kid, the easy one, the one who never causes problems. And look, that's adaptive when you're 7. But when you're 30 and still operating from that playbook, it becomes a prison. Because now, being nice isn't something you choose. It's something you have to do to feel safe. And the cost of that safety is intimacy. Here's what I mean when someone starts to get close to you, like really close, where they're asking real questions and expecting real answers. Something in your nervous system goes, nope. Not consciously. You don't sit there thinking, I must now create distance. It just happens. You get busy. You change the subject. You pull back just enough that they stop pressing. Michelintzer and Shaver found that avoidantly attached people literally suppress thoughts about attachment when they're under stress. Their brains are working overtime to keep intimacy at bay, and they're not even aware it's happening. It's like your internal thermostat is set to friendly but distant, and anytime someone tries to turn up the heat, the system kicks in and cools things back down. Now here's where it gets tricky. And honestly, kind of heartbreaking, because the very thing that makes you likable is the thing that keeps you lonely. Brené Brown talks about this in Daring Greatly. She describes vulnerability armor, the ways we protect ourselves from being hurt by refusing to be seen. And for a lot of people, that armor looks like perfection, or control, or cynicism. But for some people, it looks like kindness. You're so good at taking care of others that no one thinks to take care of you. You're so steady, so reliable, so fine all the time, that people assume you don't need anything. And maybe part of you likes that. Maybe it feels safer to be the person who has it together. Because if you're the one helping, you never have to ask for help. You never have to risk being let down. But here's the cost. Research by James Gross and Oliver John found that people who chronically suppress their emotions, what they call expressive suppression, experience higher levels of stress, worse physical health, and lower relationship satisfaction. Because when you're constantly managing how you come across, when you're always in performance mode, you never get to just be. And other people feel it too. Not in a way they can articulate, maybe, but there's a sense of something's missing, like you're there, but not really there. They like you, they trust you, but they don't feel close to you. And neither do you, honestly. You can be in a room full of friends and still feel completely alone because the version of you that's in that room isn't the whole story. So here's the thing nobody tells you about being extremely nice but emotionally detached. It works. Until it doesn't. It works when you're young and your friendships are surface level anyway. It works when you're busy and don't have time for deep connection. It works when the people around you are happy to take what you give without asking for more. But eventually, you hit a wall. Maybe it's a breakup where your partner says, "I never felt like I really knew you." Maybe it's a friendship that fades because you realize you've been carrying it the whole time. Maybe it's just a quiet moment where you look around and think, "I'm surrounded by people who love me, and I've never felt more disconnected." And the instinct is to think, well, that's just how I am. I'm not a feelings person. But that's not true. You have feelings, you have needs. You're just so used to hiding them that you've started believing your own performance. The good news, and yeah, there is good news, is that this isn't a life sentence. You don't have to stop being kind. You don't have to become someone who dumps their problems on everyone. You just have to start letting people see you, not all at once. Not with everyone, but in small, intentional ways. Next time someone asks how you're doing, try giving a real answer, not a trauma dump, just one honest sentence. "Honestly, I'm kind of tired today. I've been stressed about work, actually." "Yeah, I don't know. I've been feeling a little off. It's going to feel weird. It might even feel unsafe. But here's what happens. The right people don't run. They lean in. And slowly, you start to realize that being seen doesn't have to mean being hurt. That closeness doesn't have to mean losing yourself. You've spent your whole life being the person everyone can count on. Maybe it's time to let someone be that person for you. If this one hit close to home, maybe check out the video on avoidant attachment next. It goes deeper into how this pattern shows up in romantic relationships. And if you've got a story about being the nice but distant person, or loving someone who is, drop it in the comments. I read all of them, and honestly, some of the most insightful stuff comes from you guys. See you in the next one.